very warm welcome to Holy Family Cathedral, especially if you're visiting from out of town or from other churches. We're glad to have you here with us. Every April, 30,000 people in the city of Boston, Massachusetts do a pretty extraordinary thing. Every April, there's an event held that's called the Boston Marathon. 26.2 miles. 47 kilometers, and people run it. It's an amazing event in the city of Boston. It's where my family's from. It's where I went to college, and every year they cancel school. All the universities are out. It's kind of a whole big city event. And it's really quite beautiful, kind of the whole city coming together to cheer on these 30,000 individuals as they run. Now, a marathon is difficult on its own. But the Boston Marathon has something very particular. Boston, as you may know, is a town of hills. And so in the Boston Marathon, you start out and it's pretty flat for 16 miles. So you can kind of get a sense that like, okay, we're going 16 miles, I got it. Well, then at mile 16, for about 4 miles, it goes up. And the elevation is not, a lot, but it's enough. If you were walking it, you'd kind of feel it in your calves. If you were driving it, you'd have to kind of hit the gas a little bit. And then between miles 20 and 21, the elevation goes up about 80 feet. Now, again, if you're walking it, no big deal. If you're driving it, definitely no big deal. But if you're on mile 20 and the incline goes up 80 feet, you feel it. It's called Heartbreak Hill. It's where people break, where they don't make it all the way to the end. I share that with you because it's something, in my own head, it's kind of an example of something that looks easy, but isn't easy. Driving it, easy. Walking it when you haven't just run 20 miles, easy. Running it when you haven't just run 20 miles, easy. It looks easy, but it's quite difficult. The gospel today, Mark chapter 10, we have a young James and John. It's important to keep in mind that these guys are young. They're still learning. They're still trying to figure out how to be disciples of the Lord Jesus. And they say something that I hope you never say when you pray, right? They go to Jesus and they say, we want you to do whatever we want. Not a good way to pray. Lots of our new folks that are becoming Catholic, right? Don't do that. If you've been Catholic forever and ever, don't do that. They go to Jesus and they say, we want you to do whatever we want. And so Jesus, you can kind of picture him maybe in a kind of a good mood, kind of saying, okay, like, what do you got? And they say, we would like one of us to sit at your right and one at your left in heaven, in glory. Jesus responds, paraphrasing, with, it's not as easy as it looks. James and John are young. James and John haven't seen what it takes to be a disciple of the Lord Jesus. We're 2,000 years removed. We have the kind of the advantage of history, the advantage of being on the other side of this event. James and John have not seen Jesus go to the cross, to suffer and to die. James and John have not seen all of the things that Jesus would do after this point. And so they think that it's easy. They think, well, we'll just, bring us up there, one at your right, one at your left, and we're good. And Jesus says to them, it's not as easy as it looks. And then he gives them a path by which to be a disciple of himself. He tells them that to lead a life of discipleship is to lead a life of service. The Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve. The Son of Man came to give his life as a ransom for many. And so do what I do. So when we look at a crucifix, we have one just above, we have one in the back. Some of you have them around your necks, you have them in your homes, we have them in our school. When you look at a crucifix, you see what love looks like. What is love? Love is sacrifice. Love is giving up yourself for the good of another. It happens in families. It happens in marriage. It happens in our life of service to whomever we're trying to help. We're giving of ourselves for the good of that other person. But if we want to know what perfect love looks like, if you want to know how we are supposed to be, look at a crucifix. There's a reason we put them up in so many places as a constant reminder of what Jesus did. James and John didn't know all that yet. We can give them a little bit of a pass. But we do. We've seen a crucifix. We've read the accounts of Jesus' passion and death. We've seen what he did on our behalf. And we're asked to model our lives after his. But it's not as easy as it looks. Any church, any pastor that says, it's easy, just do this, 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 and you're good. It's not that easy. To be a disciple of the Lord Jesus is actually quite difficult. It requires us giving up our whole selves, giving up what we always want to do. It requires sacrifice. So as we go out this week, the great message of the Lord Jesus, to be like him. The great message of the Lord Jesus, that it's not as easy as it looks. The letter to the Hebrews in the second reading says that he's aware of our weaknesses. Jesus knows our weaknesses. We need him in order to do what he's asking us to do. But he doesn't leave us alone. He gives us himself. He gives us prayer. He gives us the scriptures. He gives us the sacraments in order to feed us and give us the strength to be able to be his disciple. And so we're not alone. We have a tough job. It's not as easy as it looks. But the Lord Jesus, especially in the gift of the Eucharist, gives us what we need. So may the Lord strengthen us. May the Lord give us what we need to be able to do the work that he calls us to do as his disciples, a life of love, a life of sacrifice.